And we welcome you back to the Charleston RiverDogs Insider Podcast. Max Stanzer here. For the first time this year, we're bringing a member of the coaching staff on. That's pitching coach Tyler Higgins. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How's the season been so far? First opportunity in the Tampa Bay Rays organization coming from the Philly system. What's the vibe been like with the Rays so far?
It's a lot more individualized to the coach, I think. There's a lot of freedom to do what I see fit for each guy, and my days, how they go and what's needed is kind of it's a lot more freedom for me to do it. It's really nice.
Yeah, and the Rays obviously very well known for their pitching development, the analytics, and so forth. And I feel like that's kind of become pretty standard across all of Major League Baseball at this point, but they're kind of the front runners when it comes to innovation and so forth. How excited were you to kind of get involved in that when you took this job?
I was very excited. I have a friend who was a pitching coordinator here, and he left to take a big league job. And I know through him, we kind of coach in similar lenses. And so when I got the opportunity to interview, I was pretty excited. It was nice to feel like I knew the people that I was interviewing, just because I was such close friends with Christian, that everything was just free-flowing and it was super relaxed.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are the major differences you think that you've noticed so far between the Phillies and the Rays? Is there overlap a lot, or is it completely different philosophy-wise?
There's a few things that are philosophy-wise that, between them two, I wouldn't, it was more just in baseball in general, kind of moral compasses of what the game that we play now is. Other than that, there's just a lot of, everybody's pushing the envelope, and in a good way, everyone is asked to learn new things, try new things, and as a coach, it's pretty empowering if you take that the right way, and you step into things you might not step into, or be willing to talk about and do things that you don't have experience with at that point yet. It's been super awesome to be supported like that.
Definitely. And when you got into coaching, were you kind of thinking of getting into pro ball on that side of it, or was it more so starting at the youth level? How did you get into coaching after your playing career ended?
So I stopped playing and I went home to Michigan for a year. I worked with my family up there. During that time, I kept thinking about starting kind of a little baseball business, and I decided to do that when I got home. I think it was November 23rd. I remember that day is the day I filed for my LLC. And it was 3 weeks later, I got a call from the Phillies. At that time, I believe he was the AGM, about doing a character reference for Yamamoto.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because he was my teammate in Japan. So I kind of did a write-up. They were getting ready to have the meeting with him to try and sign him. They wanted him bad. I believe at the end they offered more money than anybody else. The Phillies said he turned it down. But so I did that, and then he called me after they had their meeting, said it went super well, thank you, yada, yada, yada. And I made a joke about coaching or something like that. And then he called me, or the director of the pitching for the Phillies at that time was a close friend of mine. He called me. He's like, would you be interested in coaching? I was like, well, I'm kind of already doing that. Everything that I got going on right now is going really well. And we had worked back and forth a little bit, and I ended up taking a contract to go be the AAA bullpen coach. And that was interesting, for sure. It was thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
But it was where I was most comfortable because it's kind of where I left off playing. So I didn't really think it would have been a good idea for me to go to the lower levels at that point. So I was kind of arguing back and forth to get, at the higher levels. And when that worked out, I think that really kind of initiated things in a good place for me.
That's unbelievable. So did the Phillies know you before that AGM, or did they see that you were one of the American players on that roster and reached out to you because of that?
No, they knew who I was. The director of pitching at that time was a really close friend of mine. And the AGM, I used to rent his house when I trained in the off season in Jupiter. Sam Fold.
Oh yeah.
And he's a great human being. But yeah, I thank him all the time for giving me a chance to go in there, because I never would have thought of it. I didn't have an interest in doing it like that, to try and push myself into those job opportunities. But I knew I wanted to be around the game, and I was just going to start a private business. And now it's turned into this. So
Yeah.
pretty happy where I ended up and where I'm going.
So in the off seasons, are you still running that business in Michigan?
Yeah,
Or?
that's in Florida.
Oh,
But
Florida.
yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. So is that something that goes on in the season too? Like, are you monitoring that, or is that something like once the season ends, you go back to
Once
it?
the season ends, I pretty much
Yeah.
go back to it. I mean, I'll stay in touch with some of the people, keep up with them, check in, whatever. But these guys are a pretty heavy focus for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
they
it's
cover a
to
lot of
juggle.
my plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys here cover a lot of my plate.
So I really do want to pick your brain about Japan. You were just brought up Yoshinobu
Yeah.
Yamamoto. You played for the Oryx Buffaloes.
Yep.
I just want to start. How did that process go? Right, you were at the AAA level, I think, with Tacoma at that point, right? Or was it El Paso?
Tacoma's where we initiated kind of my agency, and I started kind of seeing some interest come about. There was no real movement or conversations, but that was when I first kind of realized, okay, there was probably a chance I might be able to go over there.
Yeah, so I was going to say, they're reaching out to your agency, or is that something your agency's thinking like, all right, let's explore this? Like, how does that develop?
It kind of goes both ways. For me, it was like I didn't really have any leverage to try and go over there. So just the fact that they were there in Tacoma, they're heavily involved in scouting kind of that area in that league in the PCL. They ended up reaching out to us right before winter meetings in 2020, I think it was. Yeah, it would have been right in December-ish of 2020. Other people that might have a little more leverage, big league time, so on and so forth, their agents can kind of reach out like, hey, we're at a pass here, we want to explore like making some money over there, whatever. That's not how it went for me.
I mean, still an amazing opportunity, though. Like, for those who aren't familiar, the MPB, I'd say is probably the second biggest baseball league in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you're pitching in front of, like, sold-out crowds, big
Right.
league-sized crowds every single night.
That was the biggest adjustment, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the game itself was, it's the same game here. It's the same rules. It's the same thing. Just experience pretty much. But the size of the stadiums and the crowds was a big adjustment.
And they're singing and stuff,
yeah.
too, right?
Oh, they're singing all right.
Are you, like, channeling
Yeah.
that out on the mound? Do you hear it? Like,
Well, a lot of times you don't. It's an adjustment because you don't see it or hear it. A lot of times the bullpens in those stadiums, especially over there, are like underneath.
Gotcha.
So you would hear the crowd go nuts if one of our guys hit a home run or something, and you kind of get a little bit of understanding of what it sounds like. But the first time that you go out there in front of 6,000, you're like, wow. Like, I mean, it'll shake you.
No, totally.
And it was cool. And it's still like, even my last outing over there, it was the same kind of feeling. Like, it doesn't quite go away. Like, it's still like astronomically different than anything I had experienced to that point.
And what was it like, too, pitching professionally in a country where, you don't speak Japanese, or at least I don't think you do?
No,
What was
not
that
very much.
adjustment like?
It was nice because I had a translator.
Okay.
My translator was super cool. There was, I think, so there's like a major league and a minor league translator, and then for position players and pitchers, there was only two guys that were on the major league staff that were pitchers. The one of them had been there for 9 years, so he knew pretty fluent Japanese.
Okay.
So I got lucky and had kind of a translator to myself.
Nice. Yeah.
I was very lucky for that because I was not really picking up on the language very easily.
sure.
It was quite difficult. I assume it's difficult for everybody, but seemed like it was just impossible. So that was cool, and that was nice to be able to kind of learn. Like, he'd take me shopping, or I want to go out to eat. Like, he would help me understand like how to order and how to be respectful, how to ask for the bathroom or whatever, water, blah blah blah. So that was like a definite positive of having him.
Yeah, and you're a pitching coach here in America now, and you have a lot of players who are coming from Latin countries who maybe don't speak English. How does that perspective now, you being in their shoes, kind of help you when you're working with them?
Oh, I mean, I completely understand everything that they feel off the field. Like, and I don't think some of them probably don't quite realize that. Because like we're in America, I'm born here, so they probably see it as like, okay, he doesn't understand, but I know exactly how they feel to a T. I know how uncomfortable it can be in certain situations. I have like I learned a little bit about that when I went and played winter ball for a little bit, and I have some Hispanic sides of my family through marriage, so I've always been understanding of what they're going through more than most. But now I really completely understand how it feels and what they're going through and like what I could help them with.
Yeah, and I've always been curious too. Honestly, I have never asked a coach this question before. Like,
That
communication.
scares me.
Yeah, communication is so important in your role, and obviously when there's a language barrier, things can be difficult, whether you're trying to communicate numbers or something, to move differently with their body. How do you go about that?
I utilize Leandro a lot. He helps out to translate if like when I need to have a meeting or important conversations. But these guys are quite committed to learning English, and it's something they practice, and they're definitely not scared of it. So they try. We get through a lot without ever needing a translator, and the message is completely clear. And that's all credit to them for doing what they do to learn English. I think that's something that in the game that I came up playing when I was at the lower levels, that was not the case.
Yeah.
And there was no English departments, no class really sessions, and if they were not as structured and as beneficial as these ones are. So it makes it very easy for me.
For sure. Well, I want to ask you now, I didn't even know you played with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. What was it like?
Played with him in Yoshida.
Oh, look at that.
Matsutaka Yoshida.
Matsutaka, yeah. So what was it like playing with them, specifically Yamamoto, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball right now?
Yeah.
Game 7 last year, just unbelievable on no rest. I mean, what were you able to take from him?
Well, he tried to show me how to throw his, I joke with him, calling them lawn darts. I'm absolutely terrible at it.
Yeah.
I couldn't throw one more than like 30 feet. It was
Yeah.
embarrassing, and he laughed at me every time
Is that
I tried.
a splitter?
No, he throws these like arrows. Like
Okay.
his weighted ball program is like throwing javelins.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So
Okay.
like we do pile work here, and a
Yeah.
lot of guys throw weighted balls, all these different drills and stuff. He has like a program he's on where he throws the javelins, and some of them are different shapes, different fins, different weights, top heavy, back heavy, so on and so forth. And I would try to do it because, I mean, he was such an impressive human. The way he could throw a baseball, I'd only seen 2 people throw baseballs like that. Jose Fernandez was the guy I got drafted with, and was able to see him kind of come up for a few years in the minor leagues. And I mean, God intended him to throw a baseball, and the same with Yamamoto. Like there's just something different. The things he can do with the ball, how long he can do them for, like his regimen and his routine is something that like other people don't. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And to him, it's like this is the only thing he should ever do.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Did you learn anything, like, was it different with how they, like, took care of their bodies and so forth? I've always felt like I grew up in Seattle, so I was a big fan of Ichiro, and I feel like for him,
Yeah.
like, his, ability to stay durable and so forth, and I feel like Yamamoto, that played a role in being able to pitch on no rest at all and so forth.
So they're not heavy lifters.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't lift heavy. A lot of the traditional Japanese culture for baseball at least doesn't like lift heavy. They're starting to transition that way. There's a lot of new age ideas and concepts traveling over there right now. In the last couple years specifically, it's kind of having a massive change to their game. They do a lot of stretching under like low weight. They do a lot of like active movements and positions that I would break if I tried to get into. And it definitely helps them be able to do those things. They're just super disciplined about what they do. He's incredibly disciplined. Everyone that I played with over there, that's what separates him from everybody else. Like, it's an incredible routine, it's an incredible work ethic, but he also listens to his body and plays it smart when he needs to play it smart.
And is that stuff that you kind of share with these guys as well at all?
Oh, for sure. I mean, some guys need certain things, other guys, don't. But a lot of those experiences and the players I've met and the people that I've seen is definitely things that I bring up to these guys when something matches the time. It's the right place.
Yeah. And so your professional career began in the early 2010s. Really interesting time to pitch, I feel like, in that decade, because driveline, sabermetrics, all this data, Edgertronic cameras developed and so forth. How did you see the game change as you were a professional over just I feel like what was a key time in pitching in general?
It was pretty drastic to me because, as you mentioned earlier about the Rays kind of being at the forefront of innovation, who I came up with was kind of not at the forefront. So for the most part, most of my minor league career, we had like video. That was it. We didn't have very much tech.
Like the
whatsoever.
center field cam video or something like that?
Yeah, we had one guy, he's still a close friend of mine. I called him Video Joe. Still talk to him about once a month. He's a scout now.
Okay.
But yeah, we were very far behind. And then when I became a free agent, I signed with the I signed with the Mariners. And when I came into that clubhouse, it was like almost immediately the next day I had a sit-down meeting with their video tech that was an analytical, kind of like an analyst, pretty much. And they explained what I needed to do and what usages I was supposed to have, what they thought I needed to do with this pitch, where I needed to throw it, where I should be trying to throw it. It was completely different than everything that I had been doing, but it was like, okay, well, I'm going to give it a shot, and it kind of took off from there, honestly. I had like a drastic change in my career path at that point, just understanding a little bit more about myself, just hearing someone tell me, this is what you do well, this is what you stink at, so let's do more of what you do well, less of what you stink at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Like,
in many ways, and that's kind of what you do now, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. It's like emphasize the strengths, and we'll work on the weaknesses when we can.
And so are you like translating that information for players, like simplifying it so they can understand it a little better?
Yeah, I feel like that's something that in the game, the way it is now, is needed to be a strong skill. Nobody's perfect at it, but I do my best job to figure out who the player is as a human, and then figure out how to translate what they need to be translated. Some guys can retain some certain information. Some guys, it's like a waste of time. They don't even care. They just want you to coach them, how you should coach them. So it's kind of unique to see guy to guy what they've been exposed to, what they can handle bandwidth-wise, and then go from there, because each player is definitely unique in their own. I think that's where we kind of steer wrong if you just approach everybody with that kind of stuff as the same. Some will thrive, some will sink. So you kind of got to meet them where they're at. And that's a skill set that I'm continuously working on every day in the game that we're at right now, how it's played.
For sure. And when I think about that kind of stuff, I kind of go back to like 2017-18, like, fastball, four-seamer, top of the zone, get rid of the sinker, two-seamer, whatever, like contrast between what the Pirates were doing and the Astros were doing and so forth. Was that what the Mariners brought up to you? Was it something like with the high spin heater?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know what my data really was when I left the Marlins. And so they explained to me that I've been spending the last 5 years throwing my fastball to the worst possible location for my fastball to thrive in. And I was like, okay, that's crazy. And then I was always kind of pushed down with my changeup usage with the Marlins, in a sense of, it wasn't like they told me a specific number needed to hit or stay below, but they just didn't emphasize it at all. And then the Mariners kind of told me, I can't remember exact number, but I want to say it was 55%. They're like, yeah, we want to throw 55% changeups. Oh, wow. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, to lefty? They're like, no, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I guess that's the pitch I'm most comfortable with, so I'm not gonna fight you on that. And then I pretty much was a two-pitch pitcher with a curveball that I'd use very sparingly. And I just worked on the two places they wanted me to throw, and that was the only thing I cared about. I didn't want to hear anything else. They just told me, if you do this and you do this, you'll be pretty special. And it's all I ever thought about. It's all I ever wanted to do. Every time I touched the mound, every time I did whatever, it was just with those intentions.
Yeah, and do you think that's a big reason why we've seen high school players, college players kind of enhance their ability so quickly now? Like, guys get drafted and can progress to the minor leagues a lot faster. Is that
for sure
that a little bit?
I think there's a lot more access to the information, ways to get it that were not there before. I remember when I got done with my first contract with the Marlins and I was a free agent, I had to fly to Michigan to find someone with a Rapsodo.
Yeah.
Right? And I lived in Florida at the time.
For sure.
So it's like, now I can drive 15 minutes and find someone with a TrackMan or a Rapsodo, something, an Edgertronic, to be able to get me some information, and then the ability to take that information in is just a lot higher. The IQ level of the high school athlete has changed drastically just with social media. They care, they want to learn, right? Whether that's good or bad, however deep the rabbit hole goes. Sometimes it's for better or for worse, but there's a lot more understanding of what's going on in the game of baseball, specific to whatever position they're playing now at high school level than ever before.
Yeah, I can't imagine how rewarding it would be, whether it's a high schooler or a guy on the RiverDogs right now, where they have a moment where it just kind of clicks. Has there been a moment, you don't have to say a name, but where you give a guy an adjustment and there's just a drastic change, kind of like that moment you had with the Mariners?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that stick out. All these guys, though, every day it is fun to work with these guys, because every day there's a real good chance I'm going to get 2 or 3 of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, it's all due to them, like them knowing about themselves and all that. It makes it exciting,
Yeah.
for sure.
And Aiden Crimorosa gets the ball tonight, his first start since the no-hitter in Augusta. What's it like working with him? Because I feel like, one, great stuff, but pitchability, too, on top of that, with just how deep of a repertoire he has. I've talked to him a little bit about it. He seems like he's very methodical and intentful with it all. What's it been like working with him?
He's absolutely a deep critical thinker.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I feel like when he asks me a question about baseball, he's thought about it for like a day or two. Mm-hmm. He's thought about all the ways I could respond so that he has secondary questions to make sure he's like getting the right answer that he wants, I enjoy working with him. He's got a large arsenal, and he actually, so far it's been quite impressive seeing him be able to manipulate different shapes and keep them separate from each other without blending, which is something that like even guys at the upper levels struggle to do. He's been fun. He is fun. He's going to get it tonight and get after it.
Absolutely. He was telling me, so this might be a dumb question, but you and I even talked about it a little bit with supination and pronation. Yeah. He was telling me that he purposely does both. My initial thought on it was based on your body, you can only do one or the other. So is that the case where some guys can only pronate and some can only supinate, and he's a guy that can do both?
Well, it would be more like if every pitcher has a superpower, mm-hmm. you're going to have one of them be your superpower.
Okay.
Per se.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some outliers in there. That's the general belief, I guess, would be how I would word it.
Right.
I don't necessarily love the pronation supination. I think it's like ER, IR.
Yeah.
I think if you look at it like a window, in terms of you can go one way so far, the other way so far, you can change that window to kind of help a guy get where you want, depending on what you're trying to achieve. But it's a give and take as well. So if you go to seek more IR, more ER, you're going to lose a little bit of the other for the most part at times. So I mean, all guys can do both. It's just how well they can do them.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Like everybody, I mean, unless you got a guy who's got a steel plate in his hand and he can't move it, everybody can get to both. It's just what they can do well.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to ask. Is it rare for a guy who can purposefully do it both ways at a high level, if that makes sense?
I mean, yeah, that would be your middle ground, your outlier, that they can pronate and supinate. They can have a lot of ER and IR. They have a large window of range of motion to be able to do that at high clips of speed. That's not super common. Usually you have guys that lean one way or lean the other.
Yeah, right.
And that's their superpower. So you kind of want to lean in on that when you're thinking about pitch selection or when you're thinking about pitch design, I guess would be a better term.
Absolutely. Well, I'll let you get back getting ready for the game tonight. But once again, Tyler Higgins, pitching coach for the RiverDogs. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.